Hello friends, this is Vishal and we are going to begin with the second part of the reading and explanation of lesson 1 of biology, the leaf, for grade 6. In the previous video we explained about parts of a plant, and the last thing we discussed was about the stem and the functions of the stem. So today we are going to continue and we're going to start the leaf. The flat and green part of the shoot that grows laterally from the nodes of the stem are known as leaves. So we studied about the nodes of the stem, and from those nodes we get the leaves, which are green and are also flat. There is always a bud in the axil of the leaf known as the axillary bud, which we also discussed, that there is always a bud, the axillary bud. So we already know about it. Leaves do not continuously grow like the stem, but stop growing on attaining full size or a certain size. After that the leaf does not grow. So the leaf grows and it achieves one size, and once it achieves its full size it will stop growing. Now, structure of the leaf. When we look at the structure of the leaf, it's good to see the diagram here. And you can see that the leaf is attached to the stem or the branch with the help of the small stalk here, which we know, which is called as petiole or petiole. Then the continuation of this petiole goes further and we call it the midrib. This is the midrib. The midrib is further divided into branches there inside, which are known as veins. Now when we look at the flat surface of the leaf, we call it the lamina or the leaf blade. And the edge of the leaf, we call it the leaf margin. And the end of the leaf or the tip of the leaf, we call it as the leaf apex. So the basal part of a leaf is a stalk called the petiole. It is attached to the stem at the node, and axillary bud is present in the axil of the leaf as mentioned and shown here. Okay. Sometimes leaves are directly attached to the stem and they do not have a petiole. When that is the case, the leaves are known as sessile leaves. Sessile leaves means this particular structure is not present. Let's proceed. The next part is the leaf blade or the lamina. The green flat and the broad part of the leaf is called the leaf lamina or the leaf blade. It is the outer edge and is called the leaf margin. So we know that the flat surface of the leaf, any flat surface of the leaf, is known as the leaf lamina, and the edge of the leaf we call it as the leaf margin. Then the midrib. The midrib is of course a continuation of the petiole here, and then right in the middle we can see that it is known as the midrib. This laterally gives out fine branches known as veins. So the midrib gives rise to branches which are known as, we can see this more clearly here. If this is the midrib here, we can see these branches coming out from here. These are the veins. Clear? I hope so. Right. Then the veins are further divided into smaller branches and they are known as veinlets. They help in the conduction of water and food, and they also help in the support or the mechanical support to the leaf. Veins provide a skeleton or supportive framework to the leaf. Okay, So we came to know the various parts of the leaf. We saw the typical diagram of the leaf as well, and now we can proceed with the types of leaves. So when we look at the type of leaves, we always divide or classify the leaves on a certain basis. So here leaves can be of two types: simple leaves and compound leaves, on the basis of the lamina, whether it is divided or undivided. If the lamina is divided or undivided, based on that we will be dividing the leaf into simple and compound leaf. First, let's have a look and understand what is a simple leaf. A simple leaf, we will find that the lamina is undivided. It's a single piece. The entire leaf is undivided. For example, here you can see this is one continuous lamina for one particular leaf. Here the entire leaf has one continuous complete lamina. Here such a leaf is known as a simple leaf. So the examples are in mango, in banana, and in banyan we will find such leaves. But there may be certain leaves that can give us the idea that they are not simple leaves, but they will be. Such are like marginal incisions or incisions are found. If present, that means the leaf seems to be divided into smaller leaflets, but it's not completely divided. Such leaves are also simple leaves. For example, if we have a look at this prickly poppy here, now the lamina seems to be divided into leaflets, but when we look closely we find that the division is not complete. It is an incomplete division, because here at the base, near the margin or near the midrib, we find that the leaf is not completely divided. There is some level of continuation here at the base. So this is not a completely divided leaf. So we cannot call it as a compound leaf. This still remains to be called as a simple leaf. And the example here is prickly poppy. That's an example. Now we go to the next leaf, that is a compound leaf. In a compound leaf, the leaf blade or the lamina is divided into smaller units, and these smaller units are known as leaflets. Now we can have a look here. Now here, normally this would have been one continuous leaf. Normally this would be as one full continuous big leaf here. But now we see that the lamina of that big leaf here in nature is found to be divided into leaflets, small leaflets. So instead of having one big leaf here, that full leaf, the lamina is divided into smaller leaflets, and therefore this combination of so many leaflets found in a leaf is known as a compound leaf. So we call this as a compound leaf, and these are found in rows. When we have a look at the rose, we can see the rose sapling or the plant, and we see the leaves. We'll find that yes, they are compound leaves found there. So on the basis of whether the lamina is one continuous big leaf or the lamina is divided into small leaflets, we divide the leaf into two types: simple leaf and compound leaf. Simple and compound. I hope it's clear. Only one thing we have to understand is, in simple leaf we may also find leaves that have marginal incisions like this, where the lamina seems to be divided, but it is not continuously or completely divided. At the base it is still joint, so we do not call it as a compound leaf. We still call it a simple leaf because of it being joined at the base here, or it's not being completely divided like in this case here. So you can see, compare the difference. So this still remains a simple leaf, whereas this is a compound leaf. I hope it is extremely clear by now. Let's have a look at a different classification here. Now the different bases of classification on the basis of shape, how the leaf looks. If it looks like a needle, or it looks oval or heart shaped, or oblong. Oblong means like a banana. Yeah, banana leaf. Yes, this is called oblong. Circular, like a lotus one. Lotus leaves, they are circular. Or tapering. Tapering means quite long and then becoming pointed at the end. So tapering, see, the examples are also important. So when you say needle shape, we find them in pine and onion. When we say oval, we find them in guava and apple. When we say heart shaped, we found them in people. And if you're oblong, the oblong leaf, which is the typical example, is in banana. Then the circular leaves, we find them in lotus and nasturtium. But I believe lotus is easy to remember, so you can go ahead with that. Then tapering, it is found in eucalyptus and ashoka. Alright, so there are some more leaves here for you to see. Neem, banana, people here. Okay, now the third, on the basis of margin, the edge of the leaf. So how is the edge? When we look at the margin here, if it's a complete margin like here, complete margin, we don't find any we find the margin to be quite smooth as well, and we don't find any distinctness about it. It's just complete, the way of a typical leaf should be. Then we call it as a complete or entire margin, and it is found in people, as you can see here, people tree. Toothed or serrated margin, if we talk about toothed or serrated margin, we can talk about here. Yes, here the edge is like toothed here. We can find like the edge is like the edge of a saw that cuts wood. Okay, so we find the edge here to be having various rough toothed edges or serrated. Then we find this here in China rose, or we can find them in neem also. Okay, then we come to wavy margin. Wavy margin means that when we put the leaf across our eye line, and we can see that yes, the margin is little wavy there. It will not be straight. The margin of the leaf will not be straight. It will be wavy. So that we find in a mango tree or an ashoka tree there, the leaves there. They are also known as, we also find them as wavy, means not straight, like this, like a wave. Fine. Then we come to spinous margins, or spinous margins means they will have like thorn-like structures on the margin. This we find strictly in prickly propy. So these are the different ways how we are going to classify the different kind of leaves. The first classification was on the basis of the lamina, whether it is completely divided or it remains undivided, or it also remains incompletely divided, which is also known as marginal incision. Okay, incisions. Okay, then the second basis we came to about shape, and the third one we came to about basis of margin. Now we move forward, we look at the arrangement of leaves here. Now when we look at the arrangement of leaves, we found, yes, in our syllabus we have to study based on this diagram as well. It's very easy to understand. Look at the first arrangement as alternate. Alternate means the way the leaf is attached to the branch. So if one leaf is attached on this point, the other leaf is attached alternatively to the other point. If the third leaf is alternatively on the other point here, and the fourth one opposite that side but little higher. So this is alternate. Alternate means that here you see only one leaf arises from each node. Only one leaf arises from each node. The next leaf arises from the successive node in opposite direction. So the next leaf will arise on the next node, but it will be on the opposite direction. Then the next leaf will come on the next node, but in opposite direction. So this is known as alternate. Easy to understand? One leaf on each node, and the next leaf comes on the opposite direction. So easy to understand. Opposite is the second arrangement, is opposite. In this plant, like jasmine and guava, two leaves arise on each node opposite to each other. So on each node there are two leaves. So if there is a node, if this is a branch and here this is a node here, then we will find one leaf coming out here, and we'll find another leaf coming out here, just opposite to each other. So there will be two leaves that are coming out. There will be two leaves that are actually coming out on a node in opposite direction. 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2. So there are two leaves that came out on one node in opposite directions. So this is known as opposite. Then that's easy to understand, no worries. Now comes whorled. Whorled means circular. Now you see here, more than two leaves are attached. So 1, 2, 3. So in this case, 3 leaves are attached at one node and they are in different angles. If we see, they are different angles. Then we go further. Then the top one is in a different angle. Then we go on top. Again 3 in a different angle. Then again 3 here in a different angle. So number 1, on one node we'll have more than 2, rather in this case 3 leaves. As we go top, again there will be 3 leaves on the single node, but here the angle of the leaf coming out will be different from the angle coming out here. So we again go further. Again there are 3 leaves coming out, but at a different angle. The angle at which the leaves are coming out here are different from here. Okay, so this is the way how we came to know about the arrangement of leaves here. First was alternate, and then came opposite, and then came whorled. So this was whorled here. Now we go to the next topic here, venation of leaf. Venation means, just have a look here, arrangement of veins in the lamina. How the veins are arranged in the lamina. So 2 types are found. Reticulate venation, as here. Reticulate venation is very easy to understand. You have a midrib, and then you have, from the midrib you have the various veins coming out, and then from the veins you have various veinlets coming out. A typical example here is people. So people is a typical example. In this we can find regular distribution of the lamina. It's forming a network, like a network here. You can see it's like a network. But it is also found in dicot plants. So good way of associating reticulate venation is found in dicot plants. Dicots, which I already told you, which means it has 2 cotyledons that form the early leaves for a seed that germinates. So then we come to parallel venation. The second one is parallel venation. As you can see here, in this case, here this is the midrib, but all the veins that are coming out are parallel to each other. They're just straight lines, parallel to each other. They are not going in a certain arrow or certain angular direction. No, they are all parallel. So this is called parallel venation here. And this parallel venation is found in monocot plants. Some examples are banana, grass, maize, wheat. So here we came to know the venation of leaves is of 2 types. Reticulate venation found in dicot plants, and parallel venation found in monocot plants. Typical examples in the diagrams are here for you to see. You can easily see here the veins are parallel, and here they are at a certain angle as normally found. Now let's look at the functions of the leaf. When we look at the functions of the leaf, first one is photosynthesis. Very easy to understand. Photosynthesis is all about production of food, and most of us know that, no problem about it. So we know that plants are autotrophs. Autotrophs means self, making their food self or nourishing themselves. So in photosynthesis they use water, carbon dioxide in the presence of chlorophyll and in the presence of sunlight, and food is prepared for the plant. So this is photosynthesis. This takes place in the leaf as shown here, and then the food is produced and transported to the entire plant. So one function is, major function of the leaf is production of food. Okay, then we come to the second function of the leaf, which is transpiration. Transpiration means that from the leaf, water vapor will be given out, or the excess water that is there in the plant will be lost from the leaf into the atmosphere. Water vapor, this particular process we call as transpiration. Is given here very clearly. Transpiration is the loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant. transpiration is the loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant, very especially from the leaves. Now, what is the significance of transpiration? This is a very important question as well. First is cooling effect. Cooling effect, how do we get it? Now, from the surface of the leaf, when water will be lost, it will actually take the energy or the heat from the surface here and it will evaporate. When it evaporates, it's taking the heat from the surface of the leaf, and therefore when you take the heat from the surface or any surface, you actually offer a cooling effect to that surface. So definitely it offers a cooling effect not only to the plant but also the surrounding of the plant. Because of the presence of water vapor and its evaporation, you'll find it's much more cooler. So a cooling effect is an important one. Second one that we talked about, the transpiration also helps in transpiration pull. Now, what is transpirational pull? Transpirational pull, if we again understand here, since water is being given out from here, and we know that water has been moving in a continuous channel from the roots, stem, branch, leaf, and the outlet, that is generally stomata. So as this movement is through a continuous channel of water, as water is moving here continuously, as water is being lost from here, that creates a pull, or it creates a vacuum here for more water to be brought here, and this further is transferred, I need more water, we need more water, and as soon as it comes to the roots here, they need more water and more water is pulled. So this continuously pulling of water from the roots to the stem, and from the stem to the branch, and from the branch to the leaf is continuously done, because from here there is a continuous loss of water going on as per the need of the tree. Clear? So this transpiration helps in the ascent of sap, also known as transpirational pull, that helps in helping the plant to pull the water and the minerals from the root to the leaves. I hope till here it is clear. So in my next video we will go with the next topic, which is modification of leaves. Till here I hope it is clear. So please do revisit the videos in case and when you're doing that, please keep your book open as well. Okay, thank you so much for your attention. God bless you, and do see the next video, which will be dealing with modification of leaf. God bless you and thank you.